Well, the problem here is that this terrace is elevated up above the grade down here near the garage. And you can see it's about 3.5, 4 feet high. So the building code calls for a railing along this edge. And it has to be about 36 inches high. Now we could use wrought iron or some other materials, but we've chosen wood because we want it to match the railings on the rest of the porches. The problem is, how do you connect it to a terrace like this? Now, Tom, what do we got here for your connections?
Well, for the connections, we've had Roger come and drill our holes in our granite for us because we want it done. We don't want anybody cracking it.
That's right. You don't want to crack it out now.
That's correct. And then we've chosen a threaded rod, a 1-inch threaded rod. And we use that because when we pour it into the mixture that we're going to use in here, we want it to grab. And also, we've drilled holes in the bottom, which is over here.
Right. We drilled those yesterday in the shop, and they go about 12 inches down inside.
Right. And another reason for the threaded rod is when we drive these into the wood, the thread on the rod will grab and bite into the wood and keep them from coming out.
Okay, so we want to put the rod in the wood first.
Right, we want to make sure we don't bang the rod on top of this. We want to use a good, solid, thick piece of granite.
Right, that
like
terrace
this stuff here.
is thin. It's only 2 to 3 inches thick, and a lot of pounding on it might crack it. So
That's
this piece
right.
is a nice solid.
So we can bang this anywhere we want because we're not interested in the thread for a nut or a bolt. We're just interested in it for grabbing into the wood and into the hydraulic cement.
That's right, and you would never be able to pull that out of the wood at all once it's down in there.
Right. Okay,
All right.
I've got some mixed up and
now we better explain how we're actually securing it. We've only got a hole here, and you've mixed up some cement.
yeah, we only have about 3 to 5 minutes to work with this stuff.
Right, now that's a special cement, and it's what they call hydraulic cement, and what it does is it actually expands as it cures. So once we set that rod in there, it's not going to take long for it to...
No, we don't want to get our fingers caught here.
No.
This will just squeeze up right up against the rod and hold it in place. Okay.
Okay.
You slide that in.
All right. Now we do have to just plumb it up.
Right. Make sure it's plumb.
All right, we'll hold it there for about 5 minutes, and in about a half an hour it'll be set so you can't even move it. And we got 3 more to do.
And we're ready to build on it. That's it. We're ready to roll. We'll get the next one done.
Well, isn't that amazing? In only about 20 minutes, this hydraulic cement is set up, and these posts are starting to get pretty firmly set in place. During that time, Tom and I have started making up the railings, the actual balustrade section. There's only one more step left, right, Tom, at this stage?
All we have to do now, Norm, is tack this on the bottom rail.
Okay.
We've got some lines to...
All right, I'm even on the end.
Good.
Just a few staples to hold that rail on there.
This will hold it up for us when we lay it in.
Now we're just going to take it and set it right up on the post. Now, it's nice that this piece of lattice is extended over the top of the post because it holds the rail in exactly the right position. So now I'll help you build the next section.
Now we'll put the next one together.
You've already got the bottom assembled, and these balusters just get fastened with a few staples. Okay, Tom, we'll set this one in place, and then we'll be ready to start working on the rail cap.
That's right.
Now, we were unable to get a piece of rail stock long enough to go this whole length. This is what it looks like. It's a piece of 2x6 with beveled edges and a groove underneath that fits right over the slot. Now, when you can't get a piece long enough, normally you would make the splice right over a post. But with this lattice system and a little machine that Tom has, we can make the joint any place we want. Now, Tommy, this is a nice little machine, and why don't you explain to us exactly how it works?
Well, this is a plate joiner, Norm. And what it is actually is a saw on its side. There's a blade in there, as you can see. And it cuts a slot in the wood. And in that slot, we're going to insert a biscuit. And that biscuit is going to act like a dowel, but it gives us more play than a dowel.
Right, and this biscuit is beech.
Right. The purpose of that is if it gets wet, when it gets wet, it'll swell and it'll stay swollen and it'll actually hold the wood together.
Right, so we don't need any glue. This will,
No,
once it
not-
swells, it actually,
It's gonna.
it's so firmly placed in there it can't be pulled out.
That's right.
Okay, now, so how do you go about doing this?
Okay, the first thing we do is very simply just butt your rails together. And you don't really have to measure, but any way you want, you put a mark where you want the cutter to go.
Right, make sure to mark both pieces.
Both pieces, exactly. And then we're going to take, on the machine itself, there's a center mark, and we just line up the two marks, holding it in place.
So as long as you're somewhere close,
That's
it
right.
makes all the slots. Okay, so now we do the same thing to the other half of the rail. Okay.
Now all we do is insert our biscuits.
They're nice and snug.
Mm-hmm. This one.
Okay, Tom.
Okay, we try to line them up there. Push them together. That's it.
Now we slide
Now
it
we'll
all the
just
way
slide
down
it
to the
down.
house. And now you're going to staple the rail from underneath through that lattice. And now a couple finish nails in the bottom rail and some in the top, and that's all there is to it.